It's a Rogue RMD. Just listened to an old track and caught a pretty good line in there. Young Dolph is saying, let's skip the small talk. Let's talk numbers. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. Let's get the chitter chatter out of the way. Let's get down to business, right? Because that's what we're here to do, right? We're here to talk business. What I've learned from dealings over the last approximately 4 years, learned a few things. Most important thing I've learned, take your time. Take your time, do your due diligence. Know where you're getting into, okay? Early on, you're kind of feeling jumpy, right? You're feeling jumpy, you're feeling like hopping out of one thing, jumping into another. There's a certain energy there that puts you like that. Getting older is a process of constantly attenuating that energy and getting to a place where you can just smoothly enter a situation that now matches your current modus of thinking. That's what you want. You don't want to abruptly change from one thing into another thing. You want to smoothly understand something and then very casually walk from one room through the door into another room. And that's how you want to approach it, okay? The abruption, it ruffles people. It ruffles people. It gets them a little bit on edge. It creates uneasy feelings. It's not ideal. Now, I'm not saying, sometimes you want people to feel something, right? Sometimes you're feeling a certain way. You want someone else to feel a certain way. But again, you've got to attenuate your feelings and try to make a smooth transition. Try to make it smooth. Create conversations. Really, that's the most important thing you can do is create a conversation. And you might be feeling one way. You have an idea how the other person's feeling. And you have to broker that. Create the conversation. Start there. Create the conversation. See where it goes to. See if you can move it in a direction that favors you. Because you're the dealer, right? They think that they're the player, you're the pawn. Your idea is to switch that. They're the pawn, you're the player, right? This is your game, right? Don't hate the game. Don't hate the player. Hate the game, right? Understand the game. Don't hate the player. The person sitting across from you is not your enemy, and also they're not your friend. They're just a player in the game, just like you. Try to understand the game, and that really means understanding the market. Really what we're dealing with is a market. There's a market for goods and services, and that comes together, supply and demand curves together and comes to a price, and that's where you're at. You're trying to get the highest price. You're trying to be the best in the market. Your goal is to be the best competitor in the market. So that's the only game you're playing. The person across from you, again, not your enemy, you just have to be better at the game than they are. Can you do more work, higher quality work at a lower price? If you can do that consistently, you are at the top of the market. You are the next best competitor. You are the person to say yes to. So your goal is just to figure out how to make that happen. Control your costs. Increase your income, control your costs. You've got to constantly be looking for ways to decrease your costs while maintaining a certain level of quality. And it's not easy. Expenses pop up on you, especially surprise expenses. So you just have to kind of be aware of that. Can you set up your business in a way to have some of your expenses accounted for? That's something you can work on. Do you have an expense account that you can throw some expenses into? Create your own schedule and your own destiny, right? You think that when you sign with someone else and they give you this quote-unquote full-time job, that you're getting stability. What you're really getting is you're getting subcontracted out. They have this thing they're selling you, which you think is a prepackaged whole. What it really is a collection of even smaller, more unstable contracts. So that's all you're getting. You don't realize it. You think you're getting this big complete package, complete with healthcare, dental, blah blah blah, the health and welfare package, which is like a nonsense term in my opinion. You could build all that on your own. You can call up an insurance agent and get a policy tomorrow. They'd love to sell you one because they get paid on a percent. Forget about that. First of all, it's about the total comp, and not even before that. It's about understanding contracts, okay? You could if you're okay chasing down a bunch of small contracts, you are stable. Okay, if you can consistently keep chasing down small contracts, you are in a stable position. When you get that big contract, you'll realize it's composed of even smaller contracts, and someone's attenuating the risk, usually the larger entity. Can you attenuate the risk on your own? Can you manage your own internal risk? If you can do so, then you would reap the reward of that. But most people, again, can't manage their own risk. They are not comfortable with that. They would rather have someone else manage the risk for them. And what they lose is their freedom, flexibility, and typically their working days. Again, of which there are 260 in a year, right? How many of those 260 days do you want to work? There are people that work 100 of those days, 150, 200. There are those that work 250 of those days. There are those that work even more than 260. They're working weekends. You have to figure out how much of your life are you willing to give up for some stability. And again, there's a certain balance there. There's a certain curve where this demand meets the supply for your lifestyle. So you got to figure out what that is. I spent 6 minutes talking about what might seem to some people just a long line of BS, but other people it might mean something. I'm hoping that it means something to you. It means something to me. I'm out here. I'm contracting. I'm playing. I think I'm winning. It's Real RMD.